Good evening, everyone. If you're watching this, that means you're interested in classical civilization as a GCSE. It's essentially ancient history, and who doesn't love ancient history? I'm sure at Key Stage 3, you revelled in learning about times past and how different civilizations would operate, and what things they valued and how that affected the way that they worked as a people. While classical civilizations looks at the kind of real start of us as a civilized people, looking at both ancient Greece and ancient Rome in component 1, which is a thematic study of myth and religion. So you get to study the gods and heroes of the ancient world, look at their temples and festivals, study various bits of archaeology from both cultures. It's a very exciting unit. It is a lot to learn. So I would definitely consider that when you're taking this subject. It's quite studious. There's a lot of pottery, believe it or not. And when we look at component 2, which is literature and culture, that specifically focuses on Greece, which is quite nice. So you're not having to take in too much for paper 2. That looks at the Odyssey by Homer, one of our greatest works of literature that we've managed to keep here in the modern world. We've managed to save from a time long forgotten to some. And that looks at lots of different themes that you will study in English literature, but also looks at why they came up with a body of work like that, how it explained things that happen in the world, and what it tells us about their daily life as a people. You'll also get to study the Mycenaean age, look at ancient Troy, look at the site of Tiryns and Mycenae, and look at the various things that have been dug up over the years and what that tells us about that time. As I say, it's a very fascinating subject. If you're interested in being a historian or you're interested in medicine or law, this is definitely the subject for you. This is the outline of topics. Through year 10, we start nice and easy, the sort of things that you might already know about: gods, heroes, looking at Zeus, looking at Juno, so looking across the different realms of Greece and Rome. Then we move through to religion in the city, temples and festivals, looking at sacrifice, ritual, offerings, libations. What are libations? That's something we'll discuss in term 2. And then we look at the foundation stories of the city, the stories that you are told as to how an ancient city came into being. Why did Romulus and Remus fight? Who won? And of course, who became the leader of Rome? In term 4, we look at myth and symbols of power. If you've ever been to any of these wonderful sites, you might have noticed the Pantheon is rather a large building. And that says something about that city and about what they wanted to say to their people and anybody that would come into their city. And that's what we would learn about in term 4. As we move through term 5 and term 6, you'll learn about the life in the Mycenaean age and more decorative arts, looking at some of that archaeology I mentioned earlier and what relevance it has today. And then you'll revise for the dreaded end of year exams, which will be absolutely fine because you will be well prepared for them. In year 11, we start off nice and friendly. We go straight into death and burial and into tombs, graves, the location of graves. What were the funeral rites at the time? Have we carried any of those traditions forward to today in our very different cultures that we have? And then in term 2, even more exciting, journeying into the underworld, learning the stories of Persephone and Hades and Eurydice and Orpheus. So more mythology. If you're really into that kind of storytelling, that's the unit for you. And then in term 3 and 4, we will do a thematic study of the Odyssey. We'll look at character and themes, and then we'll look at literary composition as we come through to term 4. Term 5 and 6, of course, are blocked out for revision and exams. So it's a pretty well tracked set unit of work, and it kind of builds up as the students' knowledge will build up. So don't panic, you don't have to know everything straight away, and there will be a summer project that will be given to you at the end of year 9 if you do choose to take this subject, that will hopefully give you a kind of really great foundation for moving through this GCSE. And as you can see, the assessment overview, just as there are 2 components, there are 2 papers, both of which are equally weighted, 50% each for the overall GCSE. And they're only an hour and a half, 1 hour, 30-minute exams, which isn't too difficult in terms of building up that stamina and that endurance that you need to get through these exams. And then the last thing that I need to discuss with you is the post-16 links and the career opportunities that you can get from studying classical civilization. As you can see, there is a rather large list that will be open to you if this is a subject that you choose to take. It is highly valued, especially to universities like Oxford and Cambridge. It is seen as a subject that will give you a broad base in both democracy, medicine, language and law. So if you're looking to go into any of those fields, this is definitely something that you should consider. As you can see, looking to be a barrister or looking at being a solicitor or somebody that works as a heritage manager, or if you really want to go all out there, being an archaeologist, which I think is the dream job. But there's plenty of things that you can do with this GCSE. I have got past students that have now moved on to take this at college, and some that have gone on to do this at university with a view to go into these sorts of jobs. They're highly paid and they're highly valued. So hopefully you will understand that there is something to be said for taking classical civilization as a GCSE. I hope that you've got the information that you need from this slide. If you do want anything else, any further information, you can always email me. My email is rhook, that's hook with an E on the end, @fairfield.excalibur.org.uk. I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation. I hope that you will consider taking this subject. It's fascinating and we will have a lot of fun in the 2 years study of the ancient world. Thank you very much. Goodbye.